Welcome to Blaxe Academy, and also welcome to our Tools of the Trade series. In this video, we will learn how to use TradingView, one of the most powerful tools available to traders of all experience levels. As you may note, this is part one of the How to Use TradingView video, and in this part, we will learn just the basics of TradingView and its immense number of tools. We will not go over everything in TradingView in part one, but in part two, we will dive more in depth into the specifics of TradingView. The purpose of this video is to get you started so that you can always move forward. So, what exactly is TradingView? Well, TradingView is a cloud-based charting and social trading platform. I think personally it is one of the most versatile platforms out for charting in particular, but also its ability to incorporate the social trading and investing community into one sleek package is why I prefer TradingView over just about everything. If there's a better package out there that's not proprietary or not used by some closed-in fund, I don't know about it. If you do, you may want to keep it to yourself. But for the rest of us, I think TradingView is one of the packages that you can use as a beginner, as you're learning your way through trading, even some investing aspects, but really immersing yourself into the world of financial markets. I don't think there's a better platform than TradingView. And if you've had some experience in trading, investing, TradingView pretty much has everything you need as well. I've used TradingView for about, it seems like a decade or so. From when they didn't look like it does now. It's all sleek and shiny, and they've even changed their logo in the last year or so. But even in its very nascent form, TradingView had a lot of the tools that I needed as a very technical first trader, but also has some tools that you'll see and we'll explore if technical analysis isn't your first bag. But no matter what it is, TradingView probably has it for you. Now, as we start, I will say that TradingView has a free package, but the package that we're using now is my own, and it is what's called the premium package. It has all the bells and whistles. It has all the access, all the features, and if you're using the free package, and it's good to start out with the free package, just understand that some of the features that I'm using here will not be accessible to you. Also, I think the most annoying part, if there is one, for TradingView in using the free package is that you're going to have the ad placements that come up periodically in your charting experience. I think they do that intentionally. I know they do it to pay the bills in a sense, but there are three different levels that go beyond the free experience for TradingView, and each level incrementally offers something different. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. For now, again, just know that TradingView is a monster charting package, but again, it has social aspects as well. If you want to know what markets can be traded or analyzed on TradingView, pretty much every market that you could possibly want to trade. In fact, stocks, cryptocurrencies, regular fiat currencies, which is home court for me, this is where it all started, financial indices, major world indices, United States indices, futures markets and commodities, bonds, and whatever these sparks are. And sparks typically are just tools that you use to understand better the trade and export around the world. But if it's tradable, if it's related to the financial markets, TradingView pretty much has it. Again, let me remind you that this video is just going to help you get started. It's for the people who have not seen TradingView, who don't even know the web address. This is your video to help you, hopefully in just a few minutes, to get your feet under you. In particular, if you notice through our foundations courses, if you notice through all of our technical analysis courses, on no matter what markets you're talking about, whether we're talking about stocks or bonds, everything listed here, you'll see that my instruction, that my short form videos, that my long form videos are all going to be using TradingView. You don't have to stop using your broker platform, but I'm hoping that after I show you what's available here, you'll want to stop using whatever you've been using before. One of the things that most young traders do is they open an account with some broker and they get really used to the broker's platform. One of the brokerage platforms that I really like is TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim platform, where I think it's actually phenomenal. TradingView trumps it as well. And so even though you may use your broker's platform to execute your trades, to make your buys and your sells in the market, if you're going to truly analyze the markets, if you're going to truly learn with us, it behooves you to learn how to use TradingView. And so now I'm going to show you a little bit more about the charting aspects, but I will say that there's tons of other aspects that we will get into in the second part, including the stock screeners. Maybe I can show you a little bit about the community in this video, but we're going to focus most on the charting aspects as we go along, because this is the part that you'll need to follow along with us, to learn with us, and to go out on your own and start charting your own trading course. As you can see here, this is a chart. If you've already looked at our Foundations of Investing course or Foundations of Trading course, it's very likely you've seen a chart like this one. I did it in TradingView. TradingView gives a great visual of pretty much any financial asset that has a historical record. So I'm going to show you how to use and how to become comfortable with this interface such that you can go out and practice and get started. We're kind of going to go from the top left and then sweep across to the right, and I will pick up some of the things that I really like. Some of the things you'll notice I'll talk about will be referenced in the videos as well. So whether you're talking about our Foundations of Investing in Foundations of Trading course, or we're talking about our Forex course or our stock course, the tools and the mannerisms in which I use these tools, you'll see, will kind of come alive in this video. So if we start from, again, the top left, the three bars at the top pretty much have your general settings. You can see that I'm logged in as my username. I have a chart layout that actually does not match here because I'm terrible with naming my charts, but you can see that there's some features here that are already preset, and I'm just going to draw your attention to them. This first one is one of the hallmarks of, I think, TradingView that used to not be here, that was really frustrating in the beginning, and this is autosave. The autosave is set. You don't have to set it, but I recommend an autosave because every 5 minutes it saves your chart to the cloud platform. It's one of the strengths of having a cloud-based trading or charting platform. Unless you're making some things happen, or maybe the lights go out or whatever, maybe you don't plug up your laptop or your iPad, every 5 minutes you're going to get a snapshot of your chart saved, and that's really attractive. That still works for, I think, the free package as well. Now, I typically do not share my charts, but you can turn this on as well, where you can share having a link to your chart. You can share with anybody that has that link. There's a couple other ways to share these charts as well, but as I told you before, I don't share my charts. If you're part of the Blaxe Academy community, you'll see my charts on our Discord, maybe in some of our videos, But in terms of the public, I'm not that big on sharing charts. But if you're not in this realm, you're not being a professional in that regard, or you're not really bound by those things, feel free to turn on the sharing to where anybody that has a link can conveniently share your chart. And of course, this is just file mnemonics and things of that nature, making a copy of your chart. One of the interesting things that you can do, and we will talk more in depth about this later, is that the data here can be exported. You can put in a couple different timestamps, different. This is kind of an advanced thing, but it comes out as a comma separated variable file. This is a very common format that it works with, like your spreadsheets, like your Google Sheets, your Excel, et cetera, et cetera. This is for deeper analysis of the data itself, but it's right here. You just hit the export button, and at the bottom, you'll see that I have a comma separated variable. Don't mind my McAfee. It's just trying to make sure I'm keeping safe. But that's access to you by just exporting the chart data. It's really, really simple. There's a quick search here for all the functions. It's actually a brand new functionality. I haven't used it much, but a lot of the functionality, since TradingView has an immense amount of keys and strokes and different apps and things that it can do, you can use a quick search to look up things that you use frequently or not. Now, what I want to draw your attention to is when you do set up an account, you can see by mine it has a premium, and you can kind of explore the plans. I'll briefly bring up the plans perhaps. But down here, there is a setting to where you can actually refer your friends. We're going to have a program with Blaxe where, as you sign up and get real accounts with us, there's going to be a chance to get some cash back as you start to refer friends and things of that nature that can help you save on your account cost. There's the other aspect, I guess you would say, that's useful here is going to be the Help Center. If I hit the Help Center button, it brings me up. It should bring me up actually to this spot, but it brought me up to the last spot where I was. But when you first access the Help Center, of course, it's going to say, how can we help? It has an array of things from billing to data to actually articles on the chart. You can see the number of articles on the charts, 323. Articles on trading, everything you can think of, even down to what's called PineScript. If you're not familiar with Pine software and basically script-based software, it's a way for you to write different strategies and computer code and come up with your own algorithm, your own set of directions on how to trade a certain system. Again, this is beyond the scope of this basic video, but we have more videos that are going to explain how to use Pine scripting in TradingView, and also we'll have a couple courses as we get into our algorithmic trading, which is again an advanced topic, something that's not necessarily for the basic traders, ones that have just started their journey. Strictly for live men, not for freshmen. But in the Help Center, even if you want to get started now, there are some articles on how to use the Pine script. Financials, the screeners, which are filters for different types of financial assets based on what you're looking for, and of course, how to use their social network that I've talked about. But the Help Center, I think, is one of the best ones in any trading platform I've ever experienced, whether in a pro setting or one that is for retail traders like TradingView. At the top, another thing that is very important is what's called support tickets. TradingView has a really robust support team that if you have any questions like I've had periodically, apparently in 2020 I was busy with 4 things dealing with data and subscriptions. They will come through and answer your questions to the best of their ability. And it's even in last year when we had the pandemic, their support team was actually very responsive. And as you can see, each one of my issues was closed or resolved. So I didn't really have a lot of issues. I don't typically have many issues, but if you do, just know that there's some help. Now, the support tickets and things of that nature, I don't think are available on the free version, but in any of the other 3 iterations of the paid subscriptions, you have access top tier access to the support tickets. At the highest level, you can escalate it to again, more of an immediate response. Let's see, down here, there's some FAQs. Again, one of the things also to highlight, even for new traders, new users of TradingView, are the keyboard shortcuts. Much like hotkeys that you might find on other platforms, TradingView has a plethora of keyboard shortcuts that are used in charting, that are used in doing the indicators and drawings. Even if you don't know what indicators and drawings are, we will go over them. But you can see that as I look through each one of these lists, you can see a number of hotkeys and short that basically make your workflow more efficient. You don't necessarily have to memorize them all. You may want to memorize some of them. I've been working with TradingView so long that some of them are just ingrained in my psyche. And here again, even in the Pine editor, there's a number of hotkeys that you can do. And for trading and setting alerts, all of these things that are wonderful features, it's going to take you some time to learn everything there is in TradingView. TradingView, sort of like us as traders, tends to grow and tends to expand over time. And over the time that I've used it, it seems like they've always grown in generally a good direction. Even if I didn't agree with some of the things that they did in terms of button placement, I think that just ends up being minutia, personal preference type things. But I love the expansiveness and the evolution of the platform over time to meet the needs of a growing and very diverse customer set. But we're just down to the help section. Just know that the help section is under the general settings. But now I'm going to take you across a bit to probably the next most important thing, is which, as you can see here, if you're not familiar with ES, this is the ticker section. You can do a symbol search in the ticker section for any number of thousands of markets. Right now, ES, again, being the E-mini S&P 500 future, this is the future on the S&P 500 stock index. But you can look up any number of things. For example, I can look up, of course, what's popular, Bitcoin, not just the futures, but maybe Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin versus US dollar. I can also look at Bitcoin versus other currencies, Bitcoin versus pound. And as you type in the signals, the symbols, you will see that the list will populate. Or if you wanted to be more specific, if I would only look for stock, of course, it can't find Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not a stock. However, as I start to look through the world of stock only, it will only find all the different iterations of Apple across different types of exchanges around the world. This is really an impressive thing about their data collection at TradingView. It has become more expansive, and I've just been in awe at how much data they've been able to aggregate on this platform. But you can find and filter out stocks, futures, forex. Put in euro, US dollar, or you can put in. Let's see. Even if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, sometimes you can put in just a few letters for the signal and they will find out. So you can look at the Mexican peso versus the pound, the British real, other whatever. Contracts for difference, the same thing. Here's Solana, which is a cryptocurrency versus looks like the Mexican peso on a crypto CFD. I didn't even know this existed until now. And I can fancy myself to know a lot about the exchanges around the world. But as you can see, it's just an immersive thing. And as you get to the end, you can actually find different bits of information, not just about a specific market, but about indices, as we see here as well. One of the most important indices in the financial world, of course, is the S&P 500. You can find the economics of it from the Fred database, which is used by the Federal Reserve. M2 money supply. These are top level, professional level indicators of macroeconomic importance. All of this is at your fingertips. All you have access to all of this, depending on your data feeds and things of that nature. But you can find this by simply going to the symbol search, which is right next to the three lines that start up the settings. So right here. To the right of the symbol search, you'll see some numbers here. 3M, 5M, 10M, 1H. What does that mean? If you're not familiar with trading, first, go watch the Foundations of Trading video series. It will fill you in. But as you can see on this chart, as I start to zoom in, you can see each one of these candles, which is a representation of a time period of financial data. Each one of these time periods is governed by whatever this setting on this time interval is. The ones that I have here set are my favorite ones, but I can set this in TradingView to literally any time period I want. I do think that being able to set it valetudo to any time period is one of the premium functions, but you will have access to most of these time periods, even with you having the free account on most financial assets. You may not be able to access markets like futures and some of the more exotic things, but generally speaking, stock, even crypto now, you're going to be able to have good access and have different time intervals in which you can see how the data changes. As I'm looking here, this is the S&P futures on a 1 minute time interval, which means that every minute, each one of these bars will change. There's 1 minute's worth of financial information shown here. Or I can go up to 10 minutes to give me a different look at the markets. When we're looking at our analysis in Blaxe Academy, we tend to take a bottom up and a top down look. So we look at multiple time frames to get a perspective on how to fully analyze any given market. So therefore, it is in your best interest to learn how to do this and basically set some of your favorite time frames. As you're starting out, you may not know one time frame, a 4-hour chart like I have here, from a 5-minute chart as I have here. But the more you have exposure to the markets, the more you learn about the importance of the different time frames, the more you'll learn to appreciate this. What's better in TradingView with regard to the time frames here is the fact that you can use your keyboard to change the time interval. The default is in minutes, so I can change this chart. Well, it's already in 5 minutes, so I can change it to 15-minute time interval. Press enter, and there we go. I could also change it to something erratic, like a 37-minute time frame, and TradingView and its vast database will change the time frame as well. This gives you a very, very specific, very customized look at the markets, and you can shape your strategy in a time-centric way that other traders don't. Maybe that gives you some sort of edge or advantage. It's all at your fingertips in TradingView. I have a 37-minute bar chart. Why? Because I want to. You have that level of control here. And again, I've been far-fetched to find, a platform that's been able to so seamlessly do this. And I've been around a lot of platforms, and it's almost 17 years now. But even if you weren't just on the default minutes, you could change it to days. And pretty much keeping with time convention, you can pretty much you're going to be looking at days, months, weeks, hours, minutes, and sometimes I think you can get down to seconds. Yes. The data permitting. There's not much to see here on the S&P 500 future on a 1 second basis, but that's because we're in after hour markets. If I was to change over to, so let's look at maybe Bitcoin versus the dollar, there's a slightly better resolution at this 1 second interval because Bitcoin is a true 24/7 market, which means it actually never closes. So there's going to be some level of liquidity to be seen here. But again, all of this is at your fingertips. If you notice, there are some time intervals here with stars. These are ones that I've set with a click to be my favorites. As you notice, I added the 15-minute in here just by a single click. I can also remove it, and it will remove itself from this top list. Now, as we get away a little bit, and I'm going to change it back to something that we can actually see, as I change away from dealing with the time intervals, we can also look at the data in various ways in TradingView. There's the bar charts, my favorite, the candle charts, but there's also hollow candles and lines, and also area, baseline, looking where they're at some static point, whether you're above or below that baseline. And we get into some of the other, maybe more esoteric things like the Heikin-Ashi candles, which is sort of an average noise filtering type candles that gives you more, I guess, confidence on the turn, basically on some of the reversal nature of the candles. We talk more about Heikin-Ashi and how it differs from the regular candlesticks or the more conventional candlesticks in the Foundation of Trading video. And we use them in a lot of our other technical videos as well. In TradingView, it's just a click away. Renko charts, again, another type of filtering, is pretty much what you want to do. Even the old school point and figure, which to me takes time out as a factor in terms of trading, you can do that as well. I don't know if point and figure or Kagi or even the range, which is popular, this will allow you to see how much the market moves in a certain range. And it gives you some sort of point-wise linear expression of market data based on that. So again, the possibilities are near infinite as we look across all the markets. And it's really easy to do. One of the tools that I love using, absolutely love using, because it aids in my analysis, is what will come up next. And let's just say we'll go back to some of the more conventional markets like Apple. We'll use the compare button. The compare button basically lets you use a comparison tool between any 2, 3, as many as you can put on a chart and actually decipher it. Any number of securities. Here, I click back to a chart on Apple. I put it in line format because that's pretty digestible. I could use any format I wanted though. And what I can compare Apple to is, say, IBM. And again, from this same comparison, just come down. I can use the same percentage scale, a new price scale, or a new pane altogether. Let's just do a new price scale. And it's going to put Apple and IBM on the same panel. This way I can look for basically some correlation or maybe lack of correlation between these two assets and derive some sort of meaningful interpretation of what the price is doing. You can do this for any number of markets, whether they're related like these two stock, or you can bring in something just completely different. And what's more, you can mix and match. You have price scales. You can do percentage wise. The possibilities are endless. You can actually, here I have them all as lines. But as you see over here, there's IBM. There's the exchange that IBM is on. I can actually keep the data, but also hide it as well. So I can just focus on here, Apple and gold, the relationship. Or I can bring it back. And I can actually change the style. Right now I have it as a line chart. I can use Apple as a bar chart. And I can change the colors if I would like to make it whatever I want. All of these things are very possible in TradingView. And this is, I think, what makes TradingView so attractive, even outside of its social trading capabilities, is the fact that visually, you're not going to find a platform that allows you to do so much customization while still being useful. Because at some point in time, it just becomes like having fun and drawing pictures. But everything here can be digestible into usable data. Usable data that you can basically boil down to some type of trading strategy and hopefully give yourself some edge in the market. Again, this is the compare function. And if I want to remove these, I can just hover over. There's a button that says remove, and voila. Or if I made a mistake, from the keyboard, here's one of the shortcuts. I can do Control Z just like in a Word document and bring it right back. But for now, I'm going to close these down. I'm actually going to change the format back just a bit. And we're going to keep going. Next up, across the top, after you get from the comparison tool, you'll go into the indicators and strategies. Indicators, for lack of better description, are just tools that are used to filter market data to make it more meaningful. I don't use that many indicators, but as you can see, there's some lists, and you can see from my favorites that I don't really have many indicators or lists or scripts or anything of that nature. But in TradingView, there are a ton of strategies. There are tons of indicators of any sort. I'll show you one that I do use is the Awesome Oscillator. You can put any number of indicators on your chart. You can put it below the chart as it defaults, but you can also move the pane above the chart. And there is a way to actually overlay them both or just isolate one of them. But the possibilities, again, are endless. You can do a number of things here with TradingView. And indicators here, if you haven't used them before, again, are trying to filter or tell you something about the market. And you don't have to be restricted to just one. Again, I can use this one. And let's say another popular one is the RSI, Relative Strength Index. I can put this on the chart as well. Now, if you've seen any of my videos before, you can tell that I'm already irked by how this layout is. I do not like that. I will bring in one of the key tenets of our foundations of trading video is that we need to be more price centric. But for now, I will say that for traders that haven't made it there, or maybe your strategy is just different from ours, again, the possibilities are endless. You can overlap as many of these as possible. As you see, I just merged the RSI with the Awesome Oscillator into one window. And then I can move this window up. And I believe I can move this window onto the price itself. So all I'm doing is a drag, click, and hold to bring it up, down, or away. And we can arrange this however we like. And once you're done, you can always clean it up, or you can change the settings. You can change the parameters of the indicators to however you like, customize them. Again, you're a kid in a sandbox. You can literally do what you want, which is great. But for now, I'm going to move on from this to the next section. And I am speeding through this some because, again, you can go around and play with these as soon as this video ends. In fact, I encourage you to. The next section is going to be something that is actually more stock centric. In fact, if you use something that is not a stock, not an equity, you're not going to get good data here. And that's on the financials panel. And the reason is pretty simple. When you're working in commodity markets or Forex or cryptocurrencies, there's not really a lot of macroeconomic or fundamental data to be used. But for stock, there's everything you can think of from, the 3 sheets analysis, income, balance, cash flow sheets, other statistics. You can look at everything you would possibly think about, number of employees, and you can plot this in a time-wise linear fashion against some of your favorite stocks. But you have to kind of keep this, in perspective. Here I have a 1-hour chart for Apple. There's not going to be a lot of change in the data that I show here for the number of employees at Apple. It's not going to change on an hourly basis unless something's fundamentally wrong. But maybe if I go to a daily chart, it adds a different color to it. Or maybe if I go to, let's say, weekly chart of some issue. I think my indicator went away, so maybe I need to keep that on a standard time frame. Let's go to 1 week and see what that does. Yes, on 1 week. So some of the customized weeks don't work with the financial data, but as you can see, we can go all the way back to 2002 and keep track of Apple's employees. And you can see that much as they've appreciated, so has the number of their employees. This is just one of many of the financial statistics that you can do. You can price to sales, price to book ratios, debt to equity, all of the things that you may have heard of, some of the stuff that you've never heard of, the dividend yields, all of these things can be plotted against a time-wise fashion, against the price, other indicators, you name it, other markets. It's simply one click away from the financials. And once you're done, making sure you have your custom time frames and your bars where you want to, and you're comparing them, and you have your nice indicators, you can set this all as a specific template. I don't have any saved templates here because I don't really care. Mine are pretty much going to be set. But there are a number of ways you can save this, save it with a click of a button. But there are also some defaults. There's some basic templates in here that, maybe you've heard of the Bill Williams 3 lines. You can put those on and voila. It's automatically put on here for you. Or if you don't like that one, maybe you can do something with something more, a lot of oscillators. This isn't for me, CCI, RSI, and stochastic RSI, but have fun. As you're young to trading and using TradingView, make sure you explore as much as possible, as much as time allows you to, so that you can maximize the utility of everything that's afforded you. Whether you're using the free or any of the tiered subscription services, it behooves you to play around, at least at first, until you start defining your way. And again, it doesn't take much, just the flip of a button basically to make all of these things go away. It doesn't take much at all. Or you can take different elements away at a time. Maybe you only want part of it. But either way, it's up to you to use as much or as little of TradingView as possible. But as you begin, make sure you use as much as possible. Now, the next up here is one of my favorite ones. And as you can see, if you hover your mouse over it, oftentimes the shortcut keys like Alt-A here will show you that, hey, it will let you use an alert. An alert to me is one of the wonderful things in terms of trading tools that is offered, not just in analysis, but for trade execution. I use alerts to keep me in tune with markets and analysis that I've done sometimes weeks or months ago. If you have some sort of phenomenon in the market, maybe a price is going above a certain level, like for example, on this chart, if I thought the green arrow here denoted a price that was very significant, and I said, hey, I want to buy Apple when it goes above this price, I can set an alert at that exact price. And the alert will let me set the value. Let's see what the price that is, 142.7. You can set it for a one-time event or every time the trigger can be met. Of course, there are some restrictions. You can't do it more than one time a minute. But based on what we're looking at, this is something I could have set in January of this year, and it would not have triggered until July, 6 months later. But being able to keep up with trades and levels and analysis like this gives you a function of almost having like a trading team to go along with you. And you can leave notes about Apple crossing this or whatever the phenomenon, crossing up, crossing down, greater than. There's tons of conditions that you can use to make your alerts meaningful. And you can make it where it pops up on the app. And yes, TradingView does have an app for your phones, whether you're Android or iOS. You can show a pop-up on screen, send an email. And as a more advanced thing, you can have webhooks, which basically will tie into an API, which is for automated trading. If you hadn't heard of it or not used to that, it's very advanced. Don't freak out. But just do know that we do have courses on that as well. But there's a number of items that you can do. You can play a sound if you'd like, send an email to a text, whatever. All of these things can happen in TradingView. And the alerts are one of my favorite tools to use. And it's almost as good as the next thing I'm going to bring up, which is the replay function. I use the replay function here as one of the most powerful tools to help me hone in on pattern recognition skills, determining what the market's going to do next, and kind of looking at what if scenarios. Because oftentimes as a trader, you may not realize that you'll see the same market setups over and over again. Or sometimes when the market does catch you by surprise, that surprise will happen in some way again. Or if you're looking at candlestick patterns or maybe a crossover indicator, there are ways to use the bar replay, and I'll just show you, to hone your skills, to help you go back and diagnose where you can be better. There's hardly a tool better than the replay function. But then again, I guess that's debatable because TradingView has so many useful tools. For example, if you were just looking at certain candlestick patterns like a morning star, you can use the replay function and find a certain spot in time to look and see if those candlestick patterns manifest the way that you think. And you can set the speed to something very slow or something very quickly. I'm going to speed it along just so you get a good feel of it. But again, it shows you how the market reacted in certain situations. And you can slow it down even as you're going so that you can stop and analyze and see where you were right and see where you're wrong. This is a powerful feature. I use it on a daily basis across a number of markets. And you can exit the chart replay, the replay mode, with a click of a button. It'll ask you for a confirmation, and you're done. Beginner traders, intermediate traders, if you're not using a replay function, you need to start now. Now, moving on, as you go to, it's just a generic box because that's how I have my layout. I just have a single window layout. However, as you can see, there are tons of permutations of how TradingView allows you to view data. Now, the data doesn't have to be the same security or same financial market. And you can adjust these by saying, hey, you're going to lock down your symbol or your interval or your drawing space and make sure that they're reflected in both cases. But you can change either one of them fairly quickly. But if you don't want to keep them the same, you can split them, split the sync, and you can look at something completely different depending on what you want to do. Now I'm looking at the British pound and Tesla. Why? Because that's the screen. And if you notice, I'm still using the symbol search, but notice the blue outline here lets me know which window I'm actually changing. I was looking at the British pound versus Tesla, but if I wanted to put Tesla over here, or I'm going to put now Netflix over here, it changes this window. And the window that lets you know that you're active. And if you have, multiple monitors, this may be your jam. And you can change different time frames, or you can sync them up. The possibilities, again, are endless. As you go into other types of analysis, sector rotation analysis, as we have an earnings strategy in one of our courses where you can look at different stocks that are related by earnings, you can isolate each one of those and have them reflect different things just by clicking on a different stock. For example, you can look at, say, let's look at Boeing, and another related company would be Lockheed Martin. And another related company would be, Northrop Grumman. And maybe another one would be, let's say, SAIC. I'm looking at all of these, and I can start to sync them. Time, symbols. This all knocked them back. I made a mistake there, but that's easy to do. Again, I'm back to where I was just by pressing Control Z. But I can sync them on their time, on the drawing, to make sure that I'm trying to line up and get the same look. And this is really important again around things like earnings, because you can start to time these things out as you look. Most of these are going to start to get a very similar look to them. And that can be used to your advantage because some of the earnings will happen a day or so before the other ones. And if they have similar looks and you've identified this becomes a strategy that you can play. Remember, we have a course on this, but a lot of this you can find out ahead of time. Just come to our course and be ready to play. But this is all done in the chart layout. Again, I typically prefer a single, maybe a double layout if I'm doing some type of correlated trade in markets like futures or Forex. I can do it in stocks too, but again, the possibilities are endless. You can do one chart at the top, maybe some minis. It's all up to you. Right next to that is how you save all your charts. Don't ask me about naming because I do not name my charts well. But if you wanted to have a new chart layout, you come up here, make it so. Or if you want to load some of your charts, and as you can see, I've named one chart, but I have a bunch of unnames that go on for years. It still tells you what asset the chart was about. It gives you a time stamp and date. And my list goes all the way back here to 2013. So when you have one of the paid subscriptions, the amount of data that you can keep can be really immense. I've traded a lot since 2013. Again, up here at the top, I'm not going to go through all this. It's going to be more through the chart settings to go more deeply into this. But I will tell you that having things like earnings on charts matters when you're trading those type things. And having dividend reports matters when you trade things like that. You can adjust all of these settings and then some just by clicking the little settings button up here. Now, the settings here are for the chart. They're different from the settings over here, which are about the account itself. One thing I will mention since we're looking at here is this dark colored theme and the drawing panels can be toggled away to something very bright and toggle back. Or if you don't use the drawing tools, which we haven't talked about just yet, you can move them away as well. But it's all toggled away. There's a lot of language support here. And I won't get into the desktop app, but it can be very useful in a lot of little tricky ways, but that's beyond the scope of this video. I'm going to revert back to my single frame, and I'm also going to round out that right now there's a full screen mode that you can do. You can either press F11 or the Shift and F key here for full screen. And one of my favorite things, even though I don't share much, is that you can save your chart image, place it in your trading journal, copy the chart, share it with your friends, or copy a link, and you can even tweet it out. Occasionally, I may tweet out a chart. I haven't done so in a while, but feel free to do so. And on top of that, TradingView, again, being a social trading platform, allows you to publish your trades, either a single look at a market, or sometimes you can take a video, depending on your TradingView subscription, up to 20 minutes showing, giving you some audio and some visual, and you can post that to the community, or you can post it to a private section where only your squad can see and comment and things of that nature. And speaking of which, we've made it almost all the way to the furthest right part. One of my favorite things to do, and I feel so much better now that I'm about to do it, is to add this watch list. Because what this does, for those of you who have watched my videos, my charting area is now more in compliance with the way I like to look at it. My chart is squared. And one of the easiest way to square your chart is to simply just press this little key in the upmost right corner, and it brings out a watch list. Now, a watch list is just a number of securities or stocks or currencies in my situation here, and some futures and some crypto that you like to watch. You can populate this list with a number of things, whatever your wildest. You can only be a few things, or you can do several hundred. It doesn't matter. This list and details to me is one of the key features, and I love how it breaks out and kind of just give some structure to the screen. And as you click on any one of these, you can change to what's on your screen. And as you can see, I've done some work in a lot of these markets. Some of these are primary markets for me, and some of them are reference markets. But either way, as you click, it's very easy, and you can color code them for different meanings and special. Again, do whatever you want. As we come down here, just like at the top, there's that same alert button that you can access over here, and it can show you the list of alerts that have happened. You can see here that I have some alerts on different stocks and securities and currencies and things of that nature, and you can see what happened to them. And this is just an alerts log. On top of that, one of the cool features that you can see here is that for everything that you're trading or looking at or analyzing, there's news. Right now, we're looking at the pound, the British pound versus the Swiss franc, but I could generally change it to, let's say, NVIDIA. And lo and behold, the news is going to change. It's changed reference to whatever you're looking at, which again is a very powerful in the know feature. There's a data window. I don't really use it much because I keep most of my data inferentially up here at the top. This is a default setting. We'll show you how to change that later. But if you wanted a data window on the side instead of in your actual chart window to keep your chart window more clean, you can do that. Then they have what's called the Hotlists. Hotlists are, your percentage gainers or losers, or basically the securities, mostly stocks that move the most up or down. You can look at a number of exchanges. It just depends on how you want to order it. Which one's gapped up, which one's gapped down, because there are certain strategies based on the different market phenomenology in terms of like how much volume happened in a day or in a time period. And these lists auto flex to whatever you're looking at. If you're looking at gap gainers, it's just going to change. The other neat thing here again is the economic calendar. No matter what you're trading, this is kind of a new feature. It's very cool. It tells you what's going on. Like, again, I have NVIDIA here, but I might as well have the US dollar versus Japanese yen. It's going to change based on what you are analyzing. Very cool feature. If I had any ideas, which I typically don't have a clue, it would be here. If I had published some ideas, things of that nature, you can have them there. And don't worry, there's also public chats, things of that nature. You can see public feeds. This goes into, the very exciting social trading aspect of it. You can see what other traders are doing as well. I tend to shy away from a lot of other traders, but I think as you're starting out, it's good to see how traders think. And hopefully, as you go along with Blaxe Academy, you'll start to see which ones are really about that life and which ones are just fodder for the markets. And you can actually have private chats as well. And there's an actual idea stream based on, again, what you're trading. Typically, it's more of a market level basis. So you don't necessarily get one-to-one, but you may. So if I was to change this to, let's say, Litecoin, for example, my stream actually did not change. Your stream should change to complement it, but maybe they're considering most of the currencies, whether cryptocurrencies or fiat, to be the same. Let's see if we can change to something else. There's some change, but not enough. So again, with a grain of salt, the idea stream, take it for what it is. And then again, there are some live streams that are also playing as well that you can get access to. And lots of people are playing their ideas out. And you can, as you can see here, you'll see what's hot, see what people are putting out, see all the different types of videos and things. TradingView has it for you. Then there's notifications that are more germane to maybe a system, or you had some type of independent trading system put up with this as well. And of course, the order panel What's interesting about TradingView is that I've talked mostly about the analysis because as far as we're concerned, as far as new traders are concerned, you're going to use this for analysis, but it doesn't have to stop there. You can actually connect TradingView to an actual live broker. They don't connect to all brokers. They're not a broker neutral platform, but they have an ever expanding list of brokers that you connect to. And also, one of the key features for, again, young traders, you can come down and use the trading panel. And one of my favorite tools, this is why it's highlighted, paper trading. You can have a paper trading account that allows you to simulate your trades, simulate your strategies, all these things just by hitting the connect button with TradingView. They'll give you some sort of account balance, and you can see the history of your trades, blah, 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 blah. And you can also, what's really cool about this is as you go through and see your history and trades, you can actually put positions in markets that are actually moving. For example, I couldn't put a simulated trade on Apple right now because the NASDAQ, which is the US market, is not open right now. However, I could put a simulated trade while it is enabled. You can see the little green dot here says it's connected. I could put a simulated trade out on the S&P futures, or I could put a simulated trade on Bitcoin. This is really popular. Really from a touch of the screen. If you notice, there's a plus button here. If I click it, it brings up an order panel that will allow me to put out an order. Again, this order panel comes up and construct an order in TradingView. I'm just going to put one out there because it's just for show anyway. And what you can do, you can put out a buy or a sell order, and it changes to let you know this color coding is very, very useful. It doesn't seem like, it seems very rudimentary, but actually knowing that the buy side is blue and the sell side is red is very useful as a checkoff, as sort of a visual checkoff as you're about to put an order out. But even more importantly, you can fall in line with our doctrine of making sure you limit your risk on the trade by being able to set a stop loss. You can set it based on a number of ticks or pips or points, or you can set it on a percentage of your account, which is typically what I do. And if you really want to, you can also set a take profit, for example. And I'm using arbitrary spots here, but it's just to show as you put them out, the TradingView order pane will show you everything that has happened in the order blotter. And the order blotter is just a record of orders to show that you place an order, you have a limit here. And if I was to look around, let me go up a little bit. It'll show you the exact level at which your order is placed. And that reflects also in your order panel down here. You can see that I have a buy with two sells. There's one sell for a stop loss and one sell for a profit. But at any given time, if I wanted to get out of this trade, it's actually pretty simple. I can click here to cancel my order, ask me yes, and they will all go away. And it's just like they never happened. But this is a very powerful tool, and basically the interface works the same whether you're working with a paper trading account or an actual live account. It doesn't matter. Now, one of the features that you'll see me use in my videos also is that this auto scale. Sometimes as you're moving around in financial markets, you'll see that the data is hard to kind of maintain. The auto button here at the bottom of the screen takes one click and resizes your data into something that is viewable and hopefully useful. I use it a lot. There's some other buttons here like the logarithmic scale, which I don't use, or you can do a percentage-based chart instead of a price-based chart. But again, you can move all of these things. There's zoom functions in and out of the market. But if you ever get lost, just hit the auto button and it'll bring you back to a more viewable spot. As we wrap up this video, I want to show you on the side here some of the drawing tools, because in our style of teaching and instruction, we use a lot of visuals, we use a lot of patterns, we use a lot of these tools, and it goes from very simple things like trend lines, which you can draw very much with ease just by clicking, to more complicated things like trend angles. And by the way, any color can be changed. The color palette for TradingView, I think, supports a full 16.7 million colors, so have at it. You can literally pick any color that the human eye can see. But a number of tools can be used, from the basics to my favorites, which are the Fibonacci's. But there's also things like Gann boxes and Andrew's pitchfork, and even some of the fib. I don't know what these do. I really have never used these fib arcs. They look pretty cool, but I mean, maybe if you find a trading system that uses them, I can kind of infer from here that the top of the arc has some sort of resistance to it, but I don't use these. But these tools are all very available to you in TradingView. Now, some of the tools as I do use, you'll see text box. Of course, you can write whatever you want to write in any color, anytime, any place on the chart. And one of the most other things other than the Fibonacci that I do use are the actual explicit patterns. For example, one of the patterns that we always talk about is going to be this ABCD pattern, which is a measured move. You can pretty much draw up a measured move to your heart's content if you find them. I'm going to scale through this chart. Oh, there's one. Remember, it's not necessarily all about just drawing, but it's also about measuring. There's a measured move pretty much right out of our course. You can draw things like that. If you get into, there's another one right here. And I do understand that if it's the first time you've seen this, it's going to look arbitrary, but trust me, if you take some of the courses, this is going to make a lot more sense. And some of the more advanced functions too, like your Elliott wave analysis tool. I'm not going to butcher the Elliott wave stuff too much, because I see it butchered most of the time anyway. But just, this is about as close of an approximation to an Elliott wave impulse as you're going to get with me just eyeballing it. But them just showing that some of the tools that we can use in TradingView and how they, in a sense, can integrate, because I can take the Elliott wave tools and come back and maybe find some of the other tools as well. Like, for example, let's try this. Yes. Ta-da. There's hardly any limit that you can do to visually start to craft your trading story and trading strategy. There's tons of other tools. Some of my favorite tools are in this section, which is basically trade management. You can show, where your entry, where your targets are, where your stop losses are, and visually give you an idea of the metrics of your trade, if it's a good trade or bad trade. For example, somebody targeting D based on A, B, and then CD can set up a pretty good trade here that has a good risk to reward ratio, for example. You can visually show this on your chart in TradingView. Now, I know I've shown you a lot of things. Make sure you take your time with this video, but I wanted to make sure that we got into the basics of charting and some of the social aspects of TradingView, and show you that, again, with some practice, with some time, TradingView can greatly expand your analytical capability and, by extension, your trading capability. I personally think that if you're serious about trading, it's worth a subscription. Sometimes during the year, especially around Black Friday and Cyber Monday, TradingView offers these incredible discounts up to 60% off of the premium. I tend to always get my subscription renewed around that time. If you can't, maybe get a lighter subscription at first and then wait maybe until that point of time. But if you're really serious about trading, I do think it's worth your time, worth your coin to consider a subscription. But in the meantime, play around with the free version and also hang around for the second part of this video, which we're going to go into more of the other functions that I did not talk about in this video. As we talk more about maybe the markets, and specifically the data that they show, some of the stock screeners, some of the currency screeners, there is so much more to go in TradingView that it can actually become overwhelming. But for now, focus on the charting. Maybe take a look at some of the ideas in the community. I mean, they're available to you. See how other traders are thinking. There's always something to learn, whether it's something to learn what to do and definitely what not to do. But all of this is available in TradingView, and this is why, in my view, it is one of the best tools to have in your arsenal. It is absolutely necessary for most of you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you come to see us again at Blaxe Academy and hang around for the second part. But buckle up, it's going to be even longer, and we're going to be more detailed about some of the other elements. But I do hope that you enjoyed our video on TradingView.